Great Expectations, Chapter 2, Estella. Mr. Wopsle's great-aunt ran an elementary school in the village. The classes were held at night. Mr. Wopsle's great-aunt was old and always fell asleep in front of the class. Her students paid 2 pennies a week to watch her sleep. But sometimes Biddy, her granddaughter, took over. Biddy was an orphan. Her hair often needed brushing and her hands needed washing, but she had a good heart. If it weren't for Biddy, I never would have learned to read and write. One winter evening, a year after the hunt for the convict, I sat by the fire writing on a slate. My sister was out with Mr. Pumblechook. I wrote to Joe even though he was sitting beside me. My dear Joe, I hope you are quite well. I hope I shall soon be able to teach you to write, Joe. I say, Pip, old chap, cried Joe, opening his blue eyes wide, what a scholar you are, ain't you? I would like to be, I said, smiling at the letters on the slate. When I got older, Joe was going to teach me his trade. I loved Joe dearly, but the thought of working in the forge made my heart heavy. I wanted a different kind of life. I dreamed about being rich, having nice clothes, and spending every day reading books and learning. Suddenly, my sister interrupted my daydreams. She burst into the room with Mr. Pumblechook. Now, she said, undoing her coat quickly, if this boy ain't grateful this night, he never will be. I only hope she doesn't pamper him. She's not like that, said Mr. Pumblechook. She's definitely not the type to pamper. Who's not the type? Asked Joe. Who is she? Joe looked at me. Miss Havisham, replied my sister impatiently. She wants Pip to play with a girl who's living with her. She might even pay him. He better go or he'll answer to me. I wonder how Miss Havisham knows our Pip, said Joe, astounded. Noodlehead, cried my sister. Who said she knew him? Well, how else could she know about Pip? Asked Joe politely. Our dear Uncle Pumblechook is a neighbor of hers, began my sister. Perhaps she asked him if he knew a boy just like Pip, and then our thoughtful, kind Uncle Pumblechook mentioned this boy. My sister waved a hand in my direction. Mr. Pumblechook puffed out his chest and stared up at the ceiling. He was proud that he knew Miss Havisham. This boy could earn a fortune by going to Miss Havisham's. He should be grateful, said my sister. I wasn't grateful at all. I was nervous. Miss Havisham was a rich and grim lady who lived at the edge of town in a large and cheerless house. People said she never went outside. I didn't want to meet the strange woman or spend every day with her. The whole idea sounded terrible. But I didn't have much choice in the matter. The next day, my sister shooed me out the door at dawn. I slowly walked across town to the iron gates of Miss Havisham's house with Mr. Pumblechook by my side. A servant answered the bell and opened the gate. She slammed it after me. She don't want to see you, the woman announced to Mr. Pumblechook. I followed her through the courtyard and the dark hallways of the house. We climbed a staircase and came at last to a door. The servant knocked and said, "Go in." Then she pushed me into the room and closed the door behind me. The room was large and well lit by candles. In an armchair sat Miss Havisham, the strangest lady I had ever seen. Miss Havisham was dressed all in white. A long veil covered her head. Jewels glittered on her neck and hands. She was dressed for a wedding. Even her hair was white. Her face was pale and withered. It seemed as if she had dressed for a wedding many years ago and had grown old since. She looked like a wax figure in a museum. "Who is it?" asked the lady. "Pip, ma'am," I replied. "Pip?" "Mr. Pumblechook's boy, ma'am. I've come to play," I explained. "Come closer," said Miss Havisham. "Are you afraid of a woman who has not seen the sun since before you were born?" I was terrified, but said nothing. I stepped closer. I saw that Miss Havisham's watch had stopped at 20 minutes to 9. The clock in the room also read 20 minutes to 9. "Do you know what I touch here?" she said, laying her hand on the left side of her chest. "Your heart," I said. "Broken!" she cried. A strange smile lit her face. "I am tired," said Miss Havisham. "I want to watch you play. A girl lives with me here. Her name is Estella. Call for her." I opened the door and shouted down the dark hall for Estella. I called again and waited. At last I saw a light like a star moving along the dark passage. Excuse me. A young girl entered the room. She walked over to Miss Havisham, who placed a jewel against the girl's pretty brown hair. "It shall be yours one day," Miss Havisham told Estella. "You shall wear it well. Now, let me see you play cards with this boy." "With this boy?" asked the girl. Her pretty face soured with scorn. "This is a common laboring boy," she added. Miss Havisham whispered softly to her, "You can break his heart." We sat down to cards. Estella dealt. When she was finished, I picked up my cards. "What rough hands he has," she said, "and what thick boots. What a clumsy-looking boy he is." The girl was my own age, but she acted much older. She looked down on me as though she were a queen, and I was dirt on her shoe. I had never been ashamed of myself before, but now I realized she was right. My clothes were dirty, my hair was tangled, and I played the game. As I played the game, I hid my hands behind the cards. Estella won the first game. I dealt the second. I was so nervous that I made a mistake, and she called me stupid. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. "You said nothing back," remarked Miss Havisham as she looked on. "She says many harsh things, but you say nothing. What do you think of her? Tell me in my ear." "I think she is very proud," I replied in a whisper. "Anything else?" "I think she is very pretty." I looked over at Estella. She was frowning. "Anything else?" asked Miss Havisham. "I think she is very insulting," I said, "and I should like to go home." It was enough for one day. Estella left me in the courtyard. As she closed the front door, I saw a look of hatred pass across her face. I felt so hurt and bitter. I leaned my head against a stone wall and cried. I kicked the wall and twisted my hair, but I was not alone in the courtyard. "Who let you in?" asked a tall, thin boy. "Miss Estella." "Come and fight," said the young gentleman. He took off his jacket and put his fists up. He danced around me like a boxer in a ring. Secretly, I was afraid of him. My first day at Miss Havisham's ended in a fistfight. I hit the young man twice in the face and he fell. "That means you have won," he said calmly. He seemed so brave and innocent. I didn't feel as if I had won. My heart was heavy. I knew cruel Estella would make my visits unbearable.